So for our first battle of the week, we do see that we have the Shaded Sunsets versus the Brandon Bayleefs here. Let's get into the first team leader, which is the Shaded Sunsets, led by Phoenix, playing for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Currently in eighth place at 4-3, and definitely looking to climb up in those rankings even more. Has had kind of, I mean, as you can see from the record, has had a mixed season. Some battles going really well, some battles not so much. Definitely trying to just solidify their place in the top 8 with this battle. We have the OU Pokemon of the team with that Slowking and Komodo combo. The Slowking at 0-4 with the Komodo at 7-3. Those two Pokemon usually like to work hand in hand with the screen set up into the teleport into the Komodo. Words are hard. We see the UU Pokemon of the Earthworm at 1-2, and the Quacklevel coming from its own 6-0 sweep last week to be at 7-2 this week. The RU Pokemon of this team being the Dragalge. It has shown up, but it hasn't been used, I believe. So it is at 0-0. We do see the Arcanine at 0-1, and the Caparage of the Elephant Chicken has not been brought yet, surprisingly. This was such a big namesake of this Pokemon or this team last year that just hasn't shown up. That's kind of surprising to me. But we do see the NU Modulus Minior being at 7-1, another Pokemon that has accomplished a 6-0 sweep. The Dunsparce has not been brought yet, which I guess kind of makes sense, but also kind of doesn't, because the Dunsparce could be pretty good if set up properly, but it is really difficult to get that set up done. Words. And the traded Whiscash at 1-2. The Whiscash originally coming from the Rotom Rotoms team that was traded for that Farigiraf now. Whiscash putting in some work. It doesn't really have. It has a knockout, but it did some work against the team, I think 2 weeks ago, where it just was able to set up traps and just be unexpected. So that was pretty interesting there. But we see the PU mods of this team, the Glaceon at 0-1, the Dachsbun at 3-1, Trevenant at 4-3, and Stantler at 1-3. The Nuclear Deer thing, who has not been able to get as much usage as I was originally hoping that it would, but it's still Stantler, it's a thing. Any thoughts about this team that you have?
I'm always excited to see them play because they actually have three of my favorite Pokemon on their team, and so whenever they get brought, it makes me very, very happy. I actually lucked out in my battle against them because I didn't have to fight them.
I mean, I guess.
But I'm really hoping to see the Dragalge soon because that's like one of my all-time favorite Pokemon,
Oh,
especially with
definitely.
setup comps. There's so much you can do with it.
For sure. Um, what was I going to say? You know, I like seeing this team battle too, because even in the PCL, this was somebody who just said F this and just like went crazy strats. Like you never know what this team is gonna bring, and that's what I find just amazing about this team. Is just you never know what to expect, which is always really fun from a battler. So, if you would like, you can introduce our next team though.
Right, so our next team is going to be the Brandon Bayleafs, led by Brody Ring, playing for the Wild Foundation. Currently, they're doing pretty okay in the season. They're not doing terrible. They're actually doing really, really good. They're like top 5, which is pretty awesome to see.
Which is fantastic, yeah.
So their OU Pokemon, the two leaders so far are Ursaluna and Hatterene. With the Hatterene putting in some heavy work right now. Ursaluna is they're gonna get there one day.
Oh,
I
for
believe in
sure.
them.
Oh, for sure.
And then coming on next is the Primarina and the Rotom Heat. They're both putting in lots of work. That Rotom is very scary to fight. I honestly was scared when it was my battle. Moving on next to the RU Pokemon, we got the Metagross, the Salazzle, and the Flygon. All three of which have been brought and have put in some work. Even though Salazzle 0-1, they still put in plenty of work in their fight.
Oh, for sure.
I'm always happy to see Salazzle as well. Moving on to the next one, we have the NU, so that's going to be Chansey, Gigalith, and Bombardier. Oro doesn't know too much about the new gem Pokemon, but Bombardier is very scary. If you use it in the right way, it can completely be a sweeper. I
Really?
am terrified to see it later on in the league. Like once they found out how to use it, like for their team perfectly.
And I'm surprised it's only been brought once too, because like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
And then moving on to the last one, we have Dodrio, Polyrath, Shedinja, and Eldegoss both leading, rounding out the PUs.
Oh,
Dodrio and
delete
Polyrath
those.
both haven't been brought already.
Oh, delete costs. Oh, delete costs.
What?
I love Eldegoss.
I haven't seen Shedinja and Eldegoss, but I also admit I haven't been able to watch too many of the streams, so I don't know if they've been brought. That's up to Aura.
I think Eldegoss was brought for the first time last week. It had didn't get knocked out, didn't get a knockout, but it did its job and it made me happy. I honestly I had Eldegoss in my PCL team and I miss it. It was such an unpredictable. I mean, it was pretty predictable, but it was kind of hard. If you were able to switch it out at the right time, it's really hard to counter. Like if you can predict like a swap and get a cotton guard up, and then just leech seed Gigadra, you're just gonna survive. And yeah, Eldegoss, but the cotton down too, dropping the speed every time you get hit, it can take down a Pokemon. I think my Eldegoss last time around took down a Tyranitar, which is fantastic. Um, it took down. Oh, I don't remember who else it took down, but yeah, it's a really good Pokemon that is really slept on. I think. Um, yeah, back to Ursaluna. That is a Pokemon that yeah, it hasn't been able to do anything, but it had the potential to. But then the team just got hard countered. An unexpected Porygon Curse Strat.
I feel that. I feel that in my heart.
Like, okay, so what happened was Dodrio set up an agility, did a baton pass into the Ursaluna, so Ursaluna 2 times speed, went for the Sword Dance, so 2 times attack, 2 times speed with Guts, but then a cursing Porygon 2 stopped it in its tracks.
My heart.
So this team is definitely a team that is a fantastic battler. Just sometimes, like the two battles they've lost, have been well. The first loss was against, or was it against me, or was it against the Goldangos? I don't remember which came first, but the Goldangos that was just a hard countered with that Porygon. But against me, they unfortunately didn't spec their Flygon right, so I was able to outspeed it and knock it out. But yeah, I do feel bad. But so let's see the starting lineups of these two teams. Who will get their next win? Let's find out soon. We see the Shaded Sunsets with the Orthworm coming back, the Whiscash making another appearance. We see the Stantler. The two Doggo. I didn't even know Arcanine was there. The Doggo was just standing there. Arcanine and Dachsbun with the Elvis Duck Quacklevolt here. That scary Pokemon. We'll see if it can do anything again today. We see the Brandon Bayleefs, so with that Gigalith, the Rotom Heat, the Primarina, the Eldegoss, yes, Eldegoss are coming back, the Flygon, and the Metagross. The heavy hitters here, we see the Rotom and the Primarina, the two most knockouts of this team. No, wait, Hatterene, not Primarina. Okay, I'm dumb. So Hatterene is not here, it's Primarina instead. Not really. I mean, half of the Pokemon here are really good for Sandstorm, so the Sandstream being set up could really benefit these two mons here, but otherwise might not be good for the others. But this, I have no idea what to expect from this team. These Pokemon are just all. What's the like? What's the word? Like not Pokemon you'd normally see. I guess I should say. Like, I mean, Arcanine, yeah, you see a lot of Quackle. I'm sure you see, but like a Dachsbun, Arcanine, Whiscash, or Dachsbun, Stantler, Whiscash combo. Who knows what to expect from this team? So, let's get started. Let's see the first. Okay, struggling. Okay, let's see the. Heck, this is a problem. Anyway, let's see the first two Pokemon that are being led with, and let's get into this first battle. The Shaded Sunsets leading with that Quackable again. The Brandon Bayleefs with that Rotom Heat. The Rotom Heat going for the discharge and one-shotting, just absolutely destroying the Quackable. Unfortunately, so not able to get a 6-0 sweep again, but the Whiscash makes its appearance. The Rotom switching out into that Metagross. And the Scald coming through from the Whiscash onto that Metagross. And the Metagross going for that Cosmic Power. We see that strat being used quite often. The Earth Power coming through, doing some decent damage, but it does not get the special defense drop that it needs. So it is able to go for another Cosmic Power. Oh, but will it, though? With the... It does go for another Cosmic Power as the Arcanine switches in from this Whiscash. And the switch in from the Metagross into that Primarina to eat the Raging Fury. It does a lot of damage despite it being a Fire-type move. It does another hit for the Raging Fury, but it does not knock it out with the Primarina able to go for that Scald and knock out that Arcanine in return. Of course, Primarina taking a little bit of Life Orb damage, but not enough to fall down. The Trailblaze coming through from the Stantler to raise its speed and get the knockout onto that Primarina, though. Nuclear Deer thing just green. With the Eldegoss then coming out. The Side Shield Bash then coming through from the Stantler to raise its defense, but the Cotton Down is going to lower its Trailblaze speed that it got, with the Cotton Guard now being set up from the Eldegoss. Eldegoss, though, switching into the Gigalith. No Sand being set up, but the Side Shield Bash coming in again to do more defense boost to the Nuclear Deer thing. Another Trailblaze coming through, doing only 18%, but it is, of course, going to raise the speed of the Deer. With a Toxic then being set up from this Gigalith to put this Stantler onto a timer now. Stantler hard swaps into the Worm, with the Stealth Rock then being set up from the Gigalith. The immediate swap into the Eldegoss, though, from the Gigalith to go to... Iron Defense coming through from the Earthworm, but the Earthworm switches right into Whiscash. I can't speak, I'm sorry. With Leech Seed then being set up from this Eldegoss onto the Whiscash to get it back to full HP. And then switches out back into the Metagross with a Blizzard coming through from the Whiscash. Not really expecting the Blizzard, though. And the switch from the Whiscash back into the Worm with a Cosmic Power, again, being set up by the Metagross. Another Cosmic Power, of course, being set up. But an Iron Defense then being set up from the Worm to get it, both of the Pokemon now at 2 times defense. The switch then into the Rotom Heat from the Metagross, so while the Worm is scared going into the Dachshund, but the trick comes out from the Rotom to give the Doggo the Choice Specs instead of a Choice Scarf, as we saw, with a Volt Switch coming through from the Rotom to switch into the Metagross, with Crunch coming through. Super effective damage, but not doing too much damage to this Metagross now. Dachshund then switching out back into the Earthworm. And a Meteor Match coming through. Does it get the attack boost? It does. The Metagross looking a little bit more scary now with that attack boost. But then it switches out into the Rotom, with another Iron Defense being set up from the Worm. The Rotom switching out, interestingly, into the Metagross, the Body Press connecting, doing some pretty decent damage. And then the rest coming through from that Metagross to get it back to full HP, but of course he is going to take a little nap on the field, but another Iron Defense gets up from the Worm to get it to 3 times defense on. The Body Press going to do a lot more damage, doing over half of the HP of this Metagross.
Oh my gosh.
It's a lot of damage. Metagross taking a nap, that Body Press is enough to take it down, so now taking a much longer nap, unfortunately. The Rotom coming back in, and the Overheat is now connecting to take down that threat of the Worm. Whiscash then comes back in. The Rotom hard swapping into the Gigalith, with a Hail being set up from the Whiscash. Interesting. The Earth Power though coming through, doing some pretty good damage and dropping the special defense of the Gigalith, with the Toxic then being set up from the Gigalith as well. Each Pokemon taking damage from the Hail. And the Protect coming in from the Gigalith, though, is going to protect it from another Earth Power, give it a little bit more life while this Toxic slowly starts to tick down on this Whiscash. Gigalith switches out back into the Rotom, with an Earth Power. Really good predict from that Earth Power. Of course, not being hit because of Levitate ability is going to take some damage from the hail, but the poison is going to dwindle down the Whiscash. And the Scald coming through to take down the Gigalith, but of course the Whiscash will fall to the poison this turn. Dachsbun coming back in with a Flagon coming in. Flagon being a pretty scary Pokemon, able to outspeed the Doggo and do the Earthquake to finish it off with just the Stantler left. And the Stantler is toxic, though. The Sucker Punch doing some decent damage, but it's not enough. The Earthquake is, though, able to take down the Stantler with the Brandon Bayleefs winning this battle. What do you think of that battle?
That was a really exciting battle.
It really was. Like, again, Shaded Sunsets, you never know what they're going to do. A hail on a Whiscash. Hail Blizzard. Not just the snow, the snowscape, an actual hail to do the hail damage. I didn't even think that was possible anymore, but I guess it still is. But yeah, that, like, you just never know what we're going to get with the Shaded Sunsets. Just unfortunately, some mispredictions from both teams, though, but the mispredictions on the Shaded Sunsets were enough to cost them the battle. But still a really good showing from the Shaded Sunsets here. Yeah, fantastic. But yeah, the Brandon Bayleefs stepping up, doing fantastic this season. And I'm excited to see more from both of these teams.